Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Nicholas Zart. I am the founder behind Electric Air Mobility. And boy, what a week it has been. Yeah, I haven't filmed anything in about a week. I haven't written anything in about a week, and not out of lack or of desire. It's just that it's been absolutely filled, jam-packed with all sorts of activities. So, of course, Electric Air Mobility went to the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, in Ras Al Khaimah, or RAK for short, probably much better to say. And we went at the Arab Aviation Summit that our good friend Federico Fernandez put together, and again invited us there. And it was fantastic. But it was such an incredible amount of information coming in that I've had a hard time distilling it up until now. Suffice it to say that the country lives up to its reputation of hospitability way beyond what we're used to. So I'll start a little bit, and this is going to be in a few parts. We're going to have to cut these videos into 2 or 3 because I have to explain everything coming from bird's eye view all the way down to the people we met and everything that we saw out there. So my flight got in late, and it was supposed to get in around 12:15, but we didn't land until 1 o'clock in the morning. My chauffeur was gone already then. So the people at the airport were so friendly that they bent over backwards to make sure that I could get to RAK, which is roughly about an hour away, depending on traffic, 45 minutes to an hour. And it was this first exposure that I had. I had been before previously, in Dubai. We landed in Dubai, but it was this very first this very first introduction that I had of people bending over backward, trying to be nice to us and everything. So it was really amazing. But also, I don't know if you can see it very well here, but at the airport, we were given a free SIM with 5G and a week's worth of calling and everything, which I thought was a pretty elegant touch right there. So anyway, I didn't get back to the hotel until 4 o'clock in the morning, and of course, the presentation was at 10:45 in the morning. So needless to say, I didn't sleep super well. I didn't sleep super long. I was tired. I made a mistake. I should have gone at least a whole good day early and stay an extra day after, but didn't have time, couldn't do it. So anyway, the presentation went very well. The presentation was about what does advanced air mobility mean for the future of aviation. And I'll go back and do a whole video on the presentation. I'll include it right here so you can see what it was about. But we talked about the innovations. We talked about how electric mobility in general has completely changed and transformed the landscape of mobility, all forms of mobility, whether it's EV on the land side of things, whether it's electric air mobility in the air, and even in the maritime world. In other words, electric mobility has unleashed a creativity in the engineering department that has never been seen before. Instead of having 1 rotor, maybe 2 rotors for helicopters, now we have, 24, the sky's the limit. Instead of having 2 turbofans or 2 propellers, well, now we can have 4, 5, 6, maybe even more, 8 propellers. It doesn't really matter. However, the most important thing was really who we met at the show and how we met. And again, the country bent over backwards to bring us on board. And also, I would have to say that we were nicely sponsored by the RAK Sheikh, who it really went well over what I would expect him to have done to bring us over there. So Sheikh Saud bin Sakr Al Qasami, and of course I'm totally butchering this, and I apologize, Sheikh Qasami, for that, bent over backwards to make us feel quite at home. So, the whole event opened up with just, your formalities, introductions, and all of this. So we heard a little bit about, what the country over there was doing for aviation in general. And also, one thing that I appreciate a lot is they talked about the youth in aviation there. And I'll go back to that topic because I'll talk about it now as well. I met a lot of young pilots over there. And again, under the theme of hospitality, they were so invited. They invited me to go fly with them. They invited me when I returned to go fly with them. They invited to even bring my wife along. It was really absolutely fantastic. So we talked. We saw a little bit more about that. And after that, we heard from a lady I find absolutely fascinating. Her name is Jen Watson, and she's the founder and CEO of Renaissance, and that's a company, a talent placement company at the executive level. And she gave a really good overview of what's going on in the country. Then we heard about electrification of the sky travel, emerging innovations in aviation, and that was, yes, yours truly at Electric Air Mobility, Nicholas Zark presenting, which was really incredible. Then we heard about the King Salman International Airport development, and this is also where we saw how the incredible emergence at the country level, bringing up the country level to become a key stakeholder in the international mobility. It really is. When I think of now the UAE, I think of an international hub at such an international level, bringing in people from all over the world. I'll get back to that because it was very interesting. The keynotes also after that followed that were Rick Rodros, a good friend of ours, who is a consultant and a professor of tourism and aviation management in Portugal, and Rhea and I have some great stories. And the unbeatable Richard Curran, who's the head of the aviation management at the University of London, who has been so kind to invite us to go speak over there. So that was fantastic. I forgot to mention that Mark Van Dorm, the vice president and master planning of the King Salman International Airport Development Company, spoke. And was absolutely fantastic to hear from him. Then we heard about blockchain's transformative impact on aviation. So again, this gives you another sense, and that was, by the way, by the founder and CEO of Block Aero, Todd Siena, who really went into details about how blockchain technology can really help with not only security, but with everything that we do around advanced air mobility and really multi-mobility in general. So, of course, we'll hear a lot more from this. We heard about running profitable airlines, and that was with Willie Bolter, who's an aviation consultant and also an advisor. And then we heard about another good fellow, friend of ours, I guess, is Gavin Eckles, who is who's a managing partner at GE Consulting Advisory. And this was interesting because if you think about RAK specifically, RAK depends heavily on tourism. But not just on tourism. If you go and please go and see, I'll put the link on the article and hopefully on this video now that I can, about what RAK really does. And the Sheikh over there, Sheikh Qasimi, has really opened up a lot of groups, a lot of business groups, a lot of interest groups on making sure that this is the sixth biggest Emirates out there, is of great value to the country. So it has a lot of groups that help its population with the healthcare, education, sustainable aviation, and of course there's the RAK Ceramics that is a very big company out there and does a lot for the country. Mostly after this, we heard from and I'm definitely gonna butcher your name. I am so sorry, but Varn Rekenyak, a VP Travel, about what it involves, what the digital transformation means for aviation in general. And this is a $14 billion opportunity for airlines to capitalize on the digitization and the optimization of that new payment method, if you wish, of some sort. When it comes to partner note, it was very interesting to meet Wayne Jack, CEO and founder of Action Flight, for so many reasons, and we'll go back to that much later. Because hopefully Wayne and us and a few other partners will work together in the region. I really enjoyed meeting Wayne. Of course, after that we had a big lunch, and after that we heard a little bit more about the Arab Youth Forum. So we heard about how active. And I have to say here, any preconceived notions about Arabic nations went out the door, right? So, unfortunately, what you hear in the news is just so horrible in the West. It's divisive, it's manipulative, and I know a lot of people probably thought, we would be walking in the middle of bombs and things like that, which of course is so far from the truth. But what I found mostly appealing there were young women pilots. And some of them had veils, some of them didn't have veils. And it was absolutely fantastic to hear these ladies, these young ladies, talk to men who wore beards and had traditional clothes. Also, another great thing that and I know I'm spreading a lot of information here, but also another great thing about this experience with the UAE is how the UAE is able to completely open itself to the world, to its modernization path with some very intelligent leadership while holding on to its culture. That's something that's missing in a lot of countries, especially countries that don't really have ancient cultures, but even countries that have ancient cultures that are forfeiting their cultures just to embrace the West. So we heard about industry insights along that line. We also heard a lot about the different Gulf airlines around here, and I have to tell you, one person I thoroughly enjoyed meeting for his sense of humor and the brilliance of this person. I am really excited to have met Ali Al-Amini, who is the CEO of Air Arabia. He was not only a hoot to talk to, great sense of humor, but extremely sharp mind, and again, somebody who's totally open to the future of the country, absolutely. After that, we did talk about how AI will increase aviation efficiency and also how it will help airports. And we heard from Paolo Leite, the CEO of Hotels, who explained a little bit more about that. Now, AI is always a tricky topic because AI means everything and everything to anyone, or anything and everything to anyone. And it could be anything from heuristics, algorithms, to true AI. So fortunately, I know wonderful people are Articulate.ai, a spinoff from Intel, and also Amazon folks who know exactly what artificial intelligence means. So that was very interesting because it also talked about how the UAE sees AI being a big part of the country. And let's not forget that Abu Dhabi wants to be the capital of AI. More to follow on that much later. We also looked at how the Middle East is investing, heavily investing in mobility. And so, of course, in this case, in the airport situation, from Fernando Lopez Calleja, who is a partner managing director at Modalis, and you've heard of Modalis. So that was very interesting because it shows again how it is an international scene. Everybody is interested and everybody's accepted to come and talk. After that, we had a wonderful panel of experts who talked. We heard from a good friend of ours, Miriam Kitait, who is part of the Global Accelerator at Boeing, who, by the way, most of the panelists were, I think all of the panelists were women. Olga Fleming, chairwoman, founder at World Sustainable Development Fund, Aruga Group, and also we heard from Mia Jafari, founder of Fluid Labs, and we heard from Amna Al-Haida, incubator manager at Emirates. And these four bright women were talking about aviation travel innovations, collaboration that disrupt the industry. Now think about this for a second. All women talking at the UAE Arab Aviation Summit. This just gives you a taste of how forward-thinking the country is. And still, some women, by the way, wore veils and some didn't. It was absolutely brilliant. It still makes me smile thinking about it. But anyway, this brings to the end our very first day. After that, we had a wonderful get-together. Most of us, like me, who were way too tired, went right back to the hotel and slept until we met downstairs and continued talking. And this is really where the magic happens with a lot of these, pretty much all events, is that we meet afterwards, we talk afterwards, and most of the deals, most of the behind-the-scenes magic really happens. It's behind the scenes, and of course I'm very happy to talk about anything. There's nothing secret, and if there were, well, you wouldn't know about it because, hey, I'm under NDA like anybody else. So stay tuned for part 2. We'll talk about what happened the next day. And so the first day was really an introduction, and I was extremely excited to have been a keynote speaker at this event. The next day was really about the government, really the civil aviation industry, the Ministry of Transportation, and many more incredible folks we were privileged to have been part of. And of course, we were at a round table, and that really just wrapped up those 2 days brilliantly. So stay tuned for part 2. My name is Nicholas Zard. I'm the founder of Electric Air Mobility. You're watching our YouTube channel. I hope I've earned a subscription, a thumbs up, and please, a referral is always very welcome. At some point, I'll be able to go to my Patreon page and give you a little bit more details, and hopefully you can buy me a coffee. That would be very helpful so that I can master OBS a little bit better and get a different background with different fancy stuff. But really, over here, content is king. I spent 17 years of my life as a journalist and a consultant in the electric mobility industry, and the last 10 years in the electric air mobility industry. And so I favor content more than anything. So stay tuned for very soon we'll have, cross your fingers, we'll have interviews and we'll talk a heck of a lot more. See you tomorrow. If I can find the stop button, right?